This post is sponsored by NugMD, where you can get a New York medical marijuana card online by speaking to a NY marijuana doctor today. If you're a resident of New York, reading this article right now, chances are you already use cannabis. Chances would also suggest that you're using it illegally, at least according to federal and state law, and that you're here because you're interested in learning how you can become a legal, licensed and registered patient under New York's medical marijuana laws. So, how do you get your medical marijuana card and certification in New York? Is it a relatively easy process, or incredibly difficult? Truth is, it used to be pretty hard, but with the addition of chronic pain to the list of conditions that qualify you for a medical marijuana card in NY, and the fact you can complete the entire process online, things just got a whole lot easier. In fact, click here to start your New York certification process 100% online with the nation's leading telemedicine provider for cannabis evaluations. They've helped over 50,000 California patients, and now offer their service in New York. After all, in 2014 the state of New York passed Assembly Bill 6357, which made medical marijuana legal in New York under a state-regulated medical marijuana program, so we know it's possible. While the New York medical marijuana program is stricter than others in the country, it's available for patients with a variety of different conditions, and as of recently, those suffering from chronic pain, which, come on, that's a lot of us. To legally participate and buy medical cannabis from New York dispensaries, you need to get a certification, aka doctor's recommendation, from a practitioner registered with the state's MMJ program. We know all the legal stuff and processes can get a little overwhelming. Spend a few minutes here while we break down everything you need to know about legal medical marijuana access in New York. We'll cover everything you need to know about New York's medical marijuana laws, how to get a medical marijuana card in New York, how to find a New York medical marijuana doctor, what are the requirements for medical marijuana in New York, how to see a licensed doctor via telemedicine, video evaluation, how to get medical marijuana in New York after receiving a certification, which registered organizations, dispensaries, are legally allowed to sell medical cannabis, FAQ, NY marijuana laws, is weed legal in New York? Is marijuana legal in New York? Not quite. There are not any slated plans for recreational marijuana in the state, but the good news is that medical cannabis has made some major progress. For instance, Assembly Bill 6357 was approved and signed into law by Governor Andrew Cuomo on June 19, 2014. This did several things. First off, it removed state-level criminal penalties, found through New York Penn Code 221, on both the use and possession of marijuana provided the patient have a written letter from a physician. That letter has to state that the patient may benefit from the usage of marijuana for a debilitating medical condition or as the result of treating such a condition. Practitioners must clearly state the following on a patient's certification: authorized brand and form of the approved medical cannabis, how it may be administered, and then any limitations. Dosage, however, is not required. Assembly Bill 6357 also regulates the manufacturing, sale, and use of marijuana, also known as the Compassionate Care Act, New York. It states that only 5 registered organizations may cultivate, manufacture, and dispense medical marijuana. Those registered organizations must go through an extensive vetting process by the Commissioner of the Department of Health. Once selected, each registered organization may have up to 4 state-regulated dispensaries to sell and dispense medical marijuana. We'll point you towards these registered organizations, New York medical marijuana dispensaries, in a later section. After ironing out the details, New York launched the medical marijuana program with 8 dispensaries on January 7, 2016. Total dispensed product may not exceed a 30-day supply. Allowable forms of medical marijuana include liquids, vape oil, inhaler, and capsules. Under New York law, smoking cannabis is not permitted, and neither are edibles. Cultivation of medical cannabis is not allowed under New York law. So there you have it. Indeed, weed is decriminalized in NY to some degree, in that you won't go to jail for a minor first offense. It's treated more like a minor traffic violation. That isn't to say you can't be prosecuted for the unlawful possession of marijuana in New York. It depends on the amount you're found carrying. Needless to say though, it's now easier than ever for people with legitimate medical conditions to finally gain access to medical marijuana doctors in New York, and get their medical marijuana card. How to get a medical marijuana card in New York. To obtain a medical marijuana card in New York, you must be a legal resident of the state of New York with authentic identification as a proof of residency. If you do not have a state-issued ID, a passport with a New York address can also be used. In the event you do not have either, bank statements and utility bill copies also be accepted as proof of residency. The next step of the process is obtaining a written certification from a registered practitioner. You can do this either by doing an in-person visit — there are currently only 800 doctors in New York registered to do this — or online with a telemedicine doctor authorized to write a recommendation for medical cannabis. For now, let's cover the in-person process, and we'll circle back later to explain the super simple and convenient telemedicine version, which we recommend. If you're unsure about medical marijuana, it